Hello GH fans, we will update the news now. General Hospital spoilers teased that there might not be a return of Drew Kane alone. Because there's a chance that Holly Sutton will come back to him as well, because they might be being held hostage and their captor is probably the same person. And Drew and Holly will probably find a way out of there and back to PC. A few new details help us visualize the mysterious figure that has been holding Drew, since he crashed a plane nearly 2 years ago. We will recall Drew's plane commanded by Special Forces, piloted by Peter August. And after the collision, it plunged into the Gulf of Aden, south of Yemen. Since Drew had already begun his long days in captivity, it is difficult to claim that he did not feel uncomfortable in captivity. Especially when this confinement has been going on for 2 years. Recalling the time before his arrest, I remember the trip to Afghanistan to return some of my friend's dirty money, and this is also his former Marine. Because in one accident, he discovered a relatively large amount of money from his friend in an old car. So he had to take a flight to get rid of that money. Unfortunately, it was here that a dark and difficult new page came to him, his flight into the Gulf of Aden instead of where he wanted it to be. The bad guys took him alive from that disaster, and imprisoned him until now. It was Oscar's turn to give the car to Cameron Webber, and this caused Drew to have some flashbacks in his memory. He remembered the money box he got from his Navy friend's car. Tex Owen is the partner of Hank Shiloh Archer, who stole fuel from Navy SEAL bases in Afghanistan, and profit by selling to enemy rebels in the area. We all remember that Shiloh once blackmailed Peter when he threatened to reveal his crimes in the Drew kidnapping. This is similar to the days of Cesar Faison when Jason Morgan was pushed out of the ocean. In this case, the ocean is just a short distance from the Port Charles Pier. The two were brought to Helena Cassadine as test subjects for the memory transfer project. Meaning Helena wants to create a new super soldier with Jason's brain but won't take away Drew's memories. In return, Drew will take Jason's memory. Otherwise, Winston Rudge will kidnap Holly, then leave a trail that leads Robert Scorpio and Olivia Quartermain to L'Aleutian. This is a casino. It is located in Monte Carlo, the southeast coast of France. And that's where they met Holly and Robert's son, Ethan Lovett. We remember that all of this took place after Robert received a call that Holly had died in a plane crash, and he is said to have been dead for many years. So even though he seemed bewildered and impatient at first, Olivia was there to convince him to be careful not to take the death report lightly. This leads the two to delve into the investigation. After arriving at L'Aleutian, they are convinced by Rudge that Holly is still alive after the plane crash. However, he kept her at the casino. When he was arrested, he told them she died shortly after attempting to protest. To make his words more convincing, Rudge shows them a burned body along with Holly's wedding ring. This makes Robert and Ethan completely believe. They deeply sad and painfully accept the story. But then Holly reappeared and let out a cry for help from the place of custody. At least Holly was lucky enough to keep them in a nice room, apparently a lavishly decorated bedroom with a queen-sized bed. Why kidnap and hold hostages in such a strange way? What is the purpose of the kidnapper? And whether Holly's kidnapper is the same as Drew's kidnapper? If this is true, then it is very likely that Drew is also near where Holly is being held. Since Holly is also believed to have died in a plane crash just like Drew, that seems like an interesting coincidence. It can be seen that Holly's death can also be arranged by Peter August, a cold-blooded killer. He is supposed to kill Holly, but it is also possible that this is just fake information to distract Robert from looking for more information about Peter. Peter seems to be the biggest suspect in both deaths. But now that Peter is dead, what will happen to the hostages? No one can replace Peter knowing his crimes and secrets. And the connection between Drew and Holly will be a headache. We cannot know where they are being held and if they are in the same place. The DVX agents that both he and his father knew would be Peter's contacts. Even so, we still can't be sure that the boss is holding both Drew and Holly. But predictable since Peter is a prime suspect. It is likely that both Drew and Holly were moved from the original abduction site. Because we still remember that no trace of Drew has ever been found near where the plane crashed in the Gulf of Aden. That means he has also been transferred. The issue of Helena resurrecting is very unlikely, because if she were alive, Valentine Cassadine would be in quite a lot of trouble. First of all, it was not possible to take the island of Cassadine and inherit the estate of Cassadine, which Nicholas Cassadine eventually got back. There is a big question for us: who is the boss on Peter's orders? If the tycoon we predicted exists, it is indeed a man of many intrigues. Maybe Jerry Jacks or Jerry will be the successor to this role. Thank you for watching the video. See you in the next videos.